Hello Galactic family. Beloved brethren of the heart. Greetings that I send directly from my heart at this time. It is my light, which is abundant and infinite, just like yours, and therefore we can freely divide with all. I am Serapis Bey, the fourth ray of the Great White Fraternity. A congregation of brothers who transcended their restraints in matter, but decided to remain at the service of humanity, anchoring love and light to all afflicted hearts. We have decided to remain in the service of charity and love until there is one last heart that is awakening its inner light. This is our purpose, to serve with love to each one of you who will allow us to help. In this general purpose, I assumed, in the service of love, to anchor the energy of purity in their hearts, a condition that will lead them to resurrection, on the way to ascension. I anchored the crystal or white flame as they call it, which is the energy that leads them with love and devotion to inner purification. This our brother Thiagos Trapasson, who now transcribes, is an arm of this energy in earthly life, in the service of the Great White Fraternity, as well as each one of you, my beloved brothers. But today I would like to tell you precisely about this purpose of purity, the crystallization of your hearts. The crystal energy, known as white ray, works in its interior as an indicator of purification. It helps you to highlight your constraints by pointing them so you can take notice of what holds you to the planetary energy grid. This is my role with you, along with my brothers who make up the dispensing house of the crystal ray, the seraphim, angels and all beings that represent the white light conceived by the archangels Gabriel and Hope. We have the purpose of representing purity in the heart of humanity. We say purity not in the sense of pure goodness, but in deep contact with the inner truth of every human being, free of masks and restraints. When you want to know yourself in depth, finding your own inner path, anchor the white crystal flame, use the decrees of the white ray. Thus, I and all the brothers who help me in the function of purification, we will radiate them, so that the flame of purity irradiates their bodies. The flame of purification will lead them to the way of elevation, aiding them to shine in crystalline brightness of heart. This inner purity, free from the bonds of matter, will lead them to the resurrection of the immaculate plane of soul. For, my brethren, free from restraints, you anchor the purity of your hearts, which shine forth in the purest purpose of soul. The heart is touched by the unified purpose of unity, and then, within the immaculate plane, you shine forth the truth of the essence in all its purity. And this path, that of purity of heart, will lead them to the resurrection of life, to happiness, to love, to faith, to inner strength, to devotion in God, to the wisdom of Source, for the whole becomes available through unification from their hearts to the unity that departs from inner purity. Discipline is fundamental in the path of purification, but not a punitive discipline as they have learned, but one that requires a constant vigilance over their feelings as to their emotions in order to identify all that restricts them and binds them to the material life of pain and suffering. In this discipline they can use the violet flame of transmutation to transmute all the restrictions highlighted by the white crystal flame. The result of the work of the violet flame in this process begins to be perceived from the moment you begin to observe that everything around you begins to walk in perfect synchrony of time and achievements in matter. You find yourself involved in discord, conflicting opinions, friction, but always holding on to just observing, without any involvement. Waiting for the right time to act lightly and sweetly, without interfering with the freedom and truth that each carries within himself. The daughter Michelle Martini, who here anchors the violet flame as a member of this fraternity, shows through her own experiences how it is to transmute all the restrictions that you carry from the incarnations lived on earth and learn to follow one's purpose with much calm, letting each step take place in a sweet and light, but definitive way. Building the strong foundation that will sustain your life in the future. Notice how you have changed since the beginning of this process. You allowed all the transformations to take place in your lives, accepting and embracing with love and humility the new being that is born from now on. You allow, in this way, that future so wonderful and happy, to come to fruition. But allowing it to occur at the right time, to manifest itself in the various forms that are planned, without the interference of the self-personality. You already understand how you are inserted in this planet, to demonstrate what is peace and love, through the truth that is manifested in your words and in your eyes, in the energy that radiates from your hearts. You are no longer those who need help from matter, but those who came to help and transform the lives of so many. The violet flame anchored in this daughter, a member of this brotherhood, which is its essence, allows transformations to occur not only in her life, but also in the lives of so many who cross her path. You have learned to remain in peace in the face of conflict, to manifest the purity of their hearts and allow it to radiate to the outer, in order to transmute all the restrictions that accompanied them into various incarnations. Those that you have been adding to your records because of the difficulties they have experienced in your life. You were so many characters in this story, written through various incarnations, were those who manifested the truth in the midst of suffering. They remained manifesting their truth before death, before the war, in the face of suffering, prejudice and racial discrimination. You got it wrong, you got it right, but you always made a mistake trying to bring love to those who need it most and to seek that love within yourself and in your relationships. As did so many ascended masters who passed through this planet. Always radiating love and light, they illuminated the paths of those who are humblest and victims of all forms of persecution and prejudice, victims of the violence of life and cruelty. But you, too, like this daughter, were stiff and strong before those who propagated evil. Without mercy and without mercy, so many of you have taken revenge on those who have brought suffering to so many and yourselves. Learning in this way to forgive and realizing that revenge does not bring joy and fulfillment. For the emptiness in your chest remained to accompany you still in this incarnation, where they had the opportunity to transmute all these past unthinking acts, which they committed for those who bring the suffering of having passed through their hands. But today, he welcomes you with great love, wrapping you in his arms, through charity and peace, promoting the transformation in the lives of those who were his enemies in the war, but who today you have learned to love and forgive. You children, faced with so much search for inner peace. They are graced at that moment, with the union of the two flames, that of purity and transformation, a union that will contribute to what was lacking in their hearts, and which will promote the definitive transformation of those characters who have accompanied them to this day, in a new, resplendent golden angel of light, symbol of the equilibrium obtained from the union of the violet flame and the white flame, which will promote balance and peace in their lives. You now become new personalities, who no longer have identity as they belong to the unit. They become the result of the union of the crystal violet flame, and leave behind the baggage of experiences of suffering, and carry on as learning and wisdom, coalesced in its cosmic register, in order to transform them into a new being, a new form of energy, which is not represented here by the union of Thiago and Michelle. But it manifests itself as a new energy understood by the crystal violet flame. It will manifest itself to radiate purity and transmutation by healing all the records of suffering of all, and bringing the golden light to the end, so that all who suffer may be involved in balance and fullness, to follow as New Age dwellers. The congregation arises for the purpose of radiating love and charity, but the primary purpose is to promote the liberation of inner and outer purity by transmuting the constraints that accompany so many of you in various incarnations through the violet flame. At the end of the process, everyone will shine in the golden light of the new age, dwelling in the planet of light and love that will manifest itself definitively for humanity. The Congregation for Peace and Transformation promotes, through the violet flame and crystal flame, the union of these two aspects for the definitive healing of all beings, and for all to shine forth in the new age, as inhabitants of this great planet that will shine in golden light. Peace and transformation will occur as a transitional process, to open the doors to the entrance of the golden light, which will be anchored on the planet is balanced to promote life to the full for all in the near future. The balance of the golden flame, which will be enveloped by the light of Lord Maitreya, will be the next step, after the transitory stage where the violet crystal flame will be anchored, which will open the anchor for this balance and promote in the bodies of all the beings, the opening to receive this new energy. Then all will inhabit the planet that will shine in golden light of perfect balance and fullness. So, my brethren, you will be seeking by your soul truth, by its essence, anchoring from your hearts the immaculate plane of the soul, towards the resurrection of the inner truth and the ascent to the unity of God. Be at peace in this truth.